As the new Breeders' Crown Series begins, we remember some great races from years past. The 2-year-old Colt Pace at the Meadows in Pittsburgh.
Mile later, Dragon Slayer wins the Breeders' Crown. 154.
Dragon's Lair handing Nihilator his only defeat as a 2-year-old. In 1985, the 3-year-old Filly Pace in Edmonton, Alberta. Steinem, revenge for a loss in 1984 to Amneris.
The leader, Steinem from the outside, Forever Sparkle. Then it's Breeze Brief coming down the stretch toward the finish. Amneris from the inside, Steinem from the outside. Amneris and Steinem post-finish, and here they are.
And last year at Rosecroft Raceway in Maryland. Favorite, Barbary Spur, upset by Robust Hanover.
Robust Hanover on the inside. Barbary Spur on the outside. They're head and head, and here they are. In under the wire, 156.
The Breeders' Crown. We begin a brand new season. Tonight from Greenwood Raceway in Toronto. The aged mare Pace. The skyline of Toronto on the shores of Lake Ontario. A beautiful evening and a fast track at Greenwood for racing tonight. Race 1 in a 12-race series. Over $5.9 million in total prize money. And tonight, almost $370,000 on the line in Toronto. Earl Lennox, one of Canada's foremost authorities, joins us now, and the Breeders' Crown is about 13 minutes from post time. Let's take a look at the field for this one, Earl, as it stands right now, and check out the morning line.
Okay, the field from the number 1 post position out is Cut It Out at 6-1. 2 is En Route at 2-1. 3, Princess Silk is an outsider at 15-1. 4, Breeze Brief at 5-1. Number 5, 7 o'clock, 3-1. Second choice. Number 6 is Samshu Bluegrass at 4-1. 7, Stardrift Hanover 10-1, and the outside horse is the outside horse in the betting as well, or the morning line betting. Number 8, Village Traffic 20-1.
Now, if you're looking down that list from the morning line, let me put you on the spot even this early and get you to pull out the winner from that list right there.
Well, I have an advantage because betting has already started on the race. I predicted that Samshu Bluegrass would be the horse to beat, and the fans like her too. She's already 9-5 in the betting.
So En Route was the early morning line favorite, and another horse moves into there. We'll continue from Greenwood Raceway. It is the Breeders' Crown, and a great night for racing all across North America. Back live at Greenwood Raceway and the Breeders' Crown Race Series, about 13 minutes now from post time. This is race 1 in a brand new season, and moving into year 3 of the Breeders' Crown Series. Last year, a little bit of a different story for the mares.
That's right. The first year of the Breeders' Crown Series in 1984, of course, were just races for 2- and 3-year-olds. Last year, they had 2 age divisions, 4 trotters and pacers, but the mares had to race in against the studs. In trotting, it doesn't seem to matter. Mares have a strong pelvic arch, and they can compete on a par with stallions, but pacing mares do have difficulty. And so this will be a real advantage for these mares to go it alone tonight, even though there are 7 others. They're really not by themselves.
Well, we're very close to the post parade right now, but how do you assess the field for this one, Earl?
Well, it's a very well-matched field. I think there are 6 mares that have a chance to win this race. En Route is the morning line choice, but as I mentioned, Samshu Bluegrass is now the favorite in the betting. She raced very strongly here last week, was a strong second to Rihanna, and a much quicker mile than En Route went. Now, I'm not saying that En Route was all out last week. She just went as fast as she had to go to win. But I think those are the 2 you have to watch. 7 o'clock has been off form, but, you know, she showed world champion ability as a 2-year-old. Breeze Brief, Doug Brown drove her last week. Maybe she'll come back to the form that saw her break track records and win major stakes last year for Doug around North America. Set now for the post parade. Here is horse number 1. Cut It Out. Irvi Filion will drive, and career earnings $327,146. Well, this mare is certainly not classically bred. She's by a horse called Levity, and we've never heard of that sire before. He stands in California. Her dam was an import from down under New Zealand, Genuine Frost by Genuine Hanover. She's owned by the Karnak stable of Sherman Oaks, California. She was bred in Idaho, and her trainer is Bob Rosen. We saw him earlier. The number 2 horse, En Route, the early morning line favorite. Career earnings $437,000, and the great William O'Donnell will drive. 4-year-old mare by Flying Brett, and en route has the distinction of having raced in 2 previous Breeders' Crowns and finishing last on both occasions. She changed owners for this racing season. She's now owned by George Siegel of Versailles, Kentucky. Stu Ferlot is her interim trainer. She's normally trained by Gene Regal.
And Princess Silk is the number 3 horse. Don Dancer will drive. Career earnings just $81,705. And Princess Silk, a bit of a long shot.
Well, that's right. Princess Silk is by Happy Motoring, who sired on the road again, and she's returning to Canadian soil. She was developed in Quebec and sold early last season to New York interests. She's owned by the 2G stable of Syosset, New York, and Vernon Dancer, who, of course, is a brother to Stanley Dancer, is her trainer.
The 5 horse will be...
That's the
4 horse, Breeze Brief.
Breeze Brief coming onto the track now. A 4-year-old mare by Big Towner, owned by the Royal Casino Farms of Somerdale, New Jersey. They paid $505,000 for her earlier this year. She is trained by Nick Colanero, and she has very impressive credentials coming up to the race. A record of 153-2 this year at the Meadowlands, John, and her career earnings?
$494,000, so very, very close to $500,000 for Breeze Brief. Doug Brown will drive Breeze Brief, and this is the mother-to-be.
That's right.
Breeze Brief currently in full. And horse number 5, here is 7 o'clock. Career earnings $424,000, and John Campbell will drive. An interesting story on John Campbell. He just arrived in time for the race tonight.
That's right. John Campbell and Bill O'Donnell both come in and into the paddock between the 3rd and 4th race. 7 o'clock by Tyler B. from Dateable by Race Time, owned by Fred Grant of East Rutherford, New Jersey. This mare also sold for a big price last year at Harrisburg. Fred Grant is her trainer. Ed Ryan raced her as a 2- and 3-year-old and sold her last fall after she had banked $344,000, and he got $375,000 for when he sold her. Not a bad investment.
Samshu Bluegrass is the number 6 horse, and Michelle Lachance will drive. Over $425,000 career earnings. In 1986, 12 starts, 11 wins, and 5 second-place finishes for Samshu Bluegrass.
Well, they're not related, but Samshu Bluegrass is by silent majority and out of a mare called 6 o'clock. She's not related to the number 5 horse 7 o'clock, though. She's owned by the Blue Chip Stable of New York. Connie Maniatti and Patricia Rimmer of Connecticut, and Vinnie Origema, one of the leading New York trainers, is the trainer for Samshu Bluegrass.
And another outside chance is Stardrift Hanover, $114,000 earned in 1986. Career earnings of over $380,000. And Peter Rossetti will drive Stardrift Hanover.
Stardrift Hanover by Albatross, and from Starglow Night by Night Dream, one of the best pedigrees in the sport. But she's currently the longest shot on the board at 70-1. Owned by the Seneca Farms of New York and Alfred Alterman of New Jersey as lessees, and her trainer, one of the best in the sport, Lou Martinez.
The number 8 horse, Village Traffic. John Brooks, the driver. Career earnings $179,000, $41,000 so far in 1986. So another long shot is the outside horse, Village Traffic, who starts from number 8.
Village Traffic is a 5-year-old mare by Armbro Omaha, perennially Ontario's leading pacing siren from Armbro Sugar by Columbia George. She was bred by Charles Armstrong, now owned by Don Whalen Stables of Unionville and Lawson Stables of Ajax. John Brooks not only drives her, he also trains her, and you know a little bit about her owners, John.
Well, they're from Unionville, Ontario, and that's pretty close to where I hang around these days, the Whalen family of Unionville, Ontario. It is the Breeders' Crown, $367 on the line in the aged mare pace. Back live at Greenwood Raceway in Toronto, the Breeders' Crown, race number 1 of a brand new season. Here is a look at the odds board as we have it now, moving within 3 minutes of post time.
Well, the fans have now established en route as the betting favorite at 3-2. The second choice at 3-1 is Breeze Brief, the number 4 horse. And at 7-2, Cut It Out, the number 1 horse. And you can see how closely matched this field is, John. They're just a half a point apart. Samshu Bluegrass at 4-1, the number 6 horse. So those 4 mares certainly look like they have the best shot for the pot.
Now, it seems a little interesting that Breeze Brief would be rated so highly, because Breeze Brief has not performed all that well of late.
Well, I think what the fans must be hanging on is the fact that Doug Brown drove her last week. She raced better. He's down to drive her again tonight. And I don't know about the training this week, but you have to keep in mind that Stu Ferlot is training en route here, so I don't know if he'd give out too many secrets about the way he trained the mare last year. So it has to be Doug Brown that they're hanging their hats on. He knows the track inside out.
No question about that. Cut it out at 7-2. Is that a little bit surprising right now?
Not to me. This mare raced super all her starts here, really, and she's brought up to this race perfectly. Bob Rosen has pointed her for this race, and he has her dead ready for it.
Now, we talked a little bit about Cut It Out earlier, and the difficulty that horse had in getting here with the big supplemental purse that had big supplemental payday that had to be made just to get entry here. But now here's Breeze Brief, best winning time 1:53.2.
Well, Breeze Brief is by the ultra-consistent, successful sire from Hanover Shoe Farms, Big Towner, and from Bree by Meadow Skipper. And her second dam is a full sister to a former track record holder here at Greenwood, Columbia George. He was a sensational racehorse, had the misfortune to be born in the same racing season as Most Happy Fella. The mare has an exquisite pedigree.
That's an interesting comment. The same racing season as Most Happy Fella. Obviously, that is a big reason. So Breeze Brief, currently at 3-1 as we prepare for the Breeders' Crown here live from Greenwood Raceway in Toronto. Cut It Out, we started to talk about that horse a moment ago, and that big entry fee that they had to pay is going to make it a very interesting night for that stable as they watch, because it was over $43,000 Canadian, and Cut It Out has to finish at least third just to break even. The Breeders' Crown continues. We're live from Greenwood Raceway, and we'll be right back.
About a mile north of Lake Ontario, this is Greenwood Raceway in Toronto. It is a cool, crisp night here at Greenwood Raceway. Being so close to the lake gives us a nice view. It also gives us a good breeze blowing off the lake. The temperature has dropped down to about 15 degrees Celsius. We can tell you that the track is lightning fast. We have seen 3 quick races. We expect to see a 4th. A lot of money on the line, about $360,000, $180,000 going to the winner. If that sounds like a lot of money, it is. It is the most money of the year for aged mares. Let's go back to trackside and John and Earl. Gentlemen?
Okay, and just a chance right now to take a last look at the odds before we get this Breeders' Crown underway. This is race number 1 of a brand new 12-race season in the Breeders' Crown Series. And En Route at 6-5 comes in as the favorite. So the morning line favorite maintains that status just before post time. Breeze
Brief second choice at 3-1. Closely behind her at 7-2 or 3.5-1 is Cut It Out. And Samshu Bluegrass is now climbed up to 5-1. John, I think I'm weakening. I'm weakening. I'm going with the fans. It looks like they put so much faith in Bill O'Donnell on this mare, and of course her recent performance has been extremely good. But I'm still saying, if I can, that Samshu Bluegrass is the horse to watch.
The horse to watch, and the man to listen to right now, the track announcer at Greenwood, Dan Lozelle, with the 1986 Breeders' Crown Race 1.
Thank you, John. 8 of North America's finest mares in behind that starting gate, ready to contest the richest mares race in the history of the sport, the 1986 Breeders' Crown. And they're off. Away quickly down along the rail is a Cut It Out, and right there in second is En Route, and quickly from the outside rushes a Samshu Bluegrass. Samshu Bluegrass goes for and gets the lead. Cut It Out is now second. Racing third is En Route. Princess Silk got away in fourth with the Breeze Brief in fifth. 7 o'clock is on the outside in sixth. Then Village Traffic and Stardrift Hanover. They move off the turn, and O'Donnell has En Route in gear on the outside in third. Opening quarter, a rather lackluster 29-4. And here comes En Route up on the outside to challenge Samshu Bluegrass for that early lead. In behind that pair in third is Cut It Out, and Lachance drives on at the rail, but O'Donnell goes to work on his mare and moves En Route to the top. En Route has the lead now and the rail. In behind in second, Samshu Bluegrass. Cut It Out is third with Princess Silk in fourth. On the move on the outside in fifth now is Breeze Brief, and 7 o'clock follows that move up into sixth. Further back to Village Traffic and Stardrift Hanover, the half in 58-2. They continue down the backstretch, and Lachance has his mare on the outside on the move. Samshu Bluegrass up and around En Route, and following that move up on the outside is Breeze Brief. With the lead again is Samshu Bluegrass. On the outside, Breeze Brief is second. En Route has a wall of horses in front of her. On the outside in fourth now, that's a 7 o'clock, 3/4, 127-3. Midway the turn, Samshu Bluegrass by a neck. Breeze Brief is second. En route in behind that pair in third, 7 o'clock fourth. Stardrift, Hanover beginning to start up on the far outside with an 1/8 of a mile to pace. And Lachance goes to work on Samshu Bluegrass. Closing on the far outside is 7 o'clock. Breeze Brief in the center and en route towards the rail. Samshu Bluegrass wins the 1986 Breeders' Crown. The mile in 1:56.1. Michelle Lachance wins with his mare Samshu Bluegrass. Some rather cheap fractions in the front end. 29-4 opening quarter, half in 58-2, and it was very close to place.
Well, Earl Lennox, you should have stayed where you was, as they say. Samshu Bluegrass was the one you picked early in the show. You changed at the very end and went with the favorite en route, and you went with William O'Donnell. But Samshu Bluegrass comes through. Michael Lachance is the winning driver and a big, big payday of $181,000. Now, that is Canadian.
That's right, and this mare just missed the track record for mares of 156. She was won in 156.1. Turning for home here, as you know, John, I said when they came to the top of the stretch, she's going to jog. You could see Doug Brown was working on Breeze Brief. She was going nowhere, and en route wasn't even keeping the hole fill at this point. Later on in the stretch, she did come on. When he needed to, Mike Lachance was able to open up, a good 2 lengths right here. And when you've got a mare like this that has momentum in her favor and doesn't get weak at the end of the mile, that's too big a margin to close. Now, there are a lot of horses coming on, battling for the second spot here. Now, as you can see, en route comes up the inside. She's clearly second, and it'll be tight for third. On the outside, between Breeze Brief and John Campbell, I do believe he got 7 o'clock up in time for the show spot.
Anyway, the photo sign is still up, we can tell you, and showed you very completely there that Samshu Bluegrass came home the winner of the Breeders' Crown. But there is a photo sign, and we'll have to wait and figure out officially who won second and third. This is the Breeders' Crown, and we'll be right back to Greenwood in Toronto. It's official now. Samshu Bluegrass wins it. En route is second, and 7 o'clock gets the show money. The time 1:56.1, and that was race 1 in the Breeders' Crown. Let's take you back now and look at the entire race once more. Earl, where did your horse go wrong?
Well, I don't think at any point she went wrong. I just don't think she was on top form tonight. As the gate leaves, if you watch very closely, watch en route just as the gate fold, and she puts in a bad step right here. They're off. And right now, she just put in a bad step there. It didn't really affect her. O'Donnell was taking her back. But Mike Lachance knew that with his bad post position, he had one choice and one choice only, and that was to go straight to the front. He told us earlier this evening that this mare, you could race her anyway, in front or come from behind, didn't matter. And he got the lead quickly, was cut it out sitting second. And Bill O'Donnell, as you might expect, moved here. He could tell the pace was too slow. They're over the quarter in 29-4, and far too slow for the class of horse involved here. Mike Lachance left with a big burst of speed. And as soon as en route came, Samshu Bluegrass went on. She wasn't about to let anybody go by her at this point. Michelle Lachance had quite a job taking her off to let en route go. And, of course, that took some of the sting out of en route. She did get to the front, but she had to use up a certain amount of energy to get there. Cut it out as a tight third, and they're strung out a little bit from fourth on back. They rolled past the half in 58-2, a little quicker second fraction, and you can see Samshu Bluegrass is full of pace. She's pulling a ton in the hole, and he has to take her out. They're starting to come from behind with Breeze Brief, and the mare wanted out, and Lachance took her out, and just took her 7 or 8 strides there. She was right back in front with Breeze Brief coming to challenge her, and en route locked in behind that pair. 7 o'clock starts to move up at this point, getting a good trip second over on the outside with John Campbell. Cut it out as 5th at the rail, and they hit the 3/4 mile marker in 1:27.3. The pace continues to improve. They were down the backstretch in 29-1. Samshu Bluegrass, you can see Lachance still hasn't asked her. He's still got a lot of horse, hasn't even straightened the whip up at this point, and Doug Brown's shaking the lines on Breeze Brief already. And at this point, he has 2 lengths on him. He goes to work on them and opens as much daylight as he possibly can. The mare is extremely game, and she has momentum in her favor at this point, and it's simply a battle for second.
Samshu Bluegrass, the winner of the Breeders' Crown, the 1 mile pace for aged mares, and Samshu Bluegrass coming through in fine style at the finish. Right now to the winner's circle, and here is Michael Landsberg.
Hey, Gene. I don't think we need the lights at all. The smiles here are bright enough to do it. This is Mike Kimmelman from the Blue Chip Farms. Mike, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It's really a great thrill for us. We've owned this mare now for a year and a half, and in our hearts, we felt that she was the best mare in the country for the last 18 months. And Vinny, our gemmer, and this mare's groom, and Mike Lachance have just kept her rolling and rolling and rolling, and I think today the world knows she is the best mare in the country.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Michel Lachance, if that was the best horse in the country, maybe the best driver in the country right now. Congratulations. You went to the front, and you gave way to En Route early on. Did that worry you a bit?
Well, like I said before the race, I said I'm going to decide behind the gate what I was going to do, and I changed my mind because there was nobody on the gate, and I got to the front in 2-step, so that was pretty easy. And when I saw En Route at the quarter, if I go with her, that I could take a chance to lose the whole thing.
Thank you very much. Apparently, we've got to go back to John Wells. John?
All right, Michael, it is Samshu Bluegrass coming through, the winner of the Breeders' Crown, race number 1 of a brand new season. And 2 weeks from tonight, race number 2 will take you to Ohio for the Breeders' Crown, race number 2 in the series. And that will be the $220,000 aged mare's trot.
This ESPN event has been brought to you by the nationwide investment firm of First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us. And by Castleton, a tradition of excellence.